Hi, my name is Michael Miller. I'm an industrial designer and this is my bike accessory phone mount. And what's really great about this is that it allows you to take your phone wherever you want and it puts it right up in front of you so you can follow along to your GPS. And when I designed this, I was specifically trying to make it for 3D printers, for people who have 3D printers. And you know, I didn't want to have a lot of hardware and extra accessories. So all you need is rubber bands, some screws, nuts, and washers. That's it. And it just goes on really easily, just like that. Now let's get into it. Alright, so I want to go through some of the cool features about this thing. Right now it's not glued. I'll show you that later, but I'm going to take it off and show you up close just how this thing works. So the cool thing about this is it's very easy to assemble, and it doesn't require a lot of hardware. Pretty much the main mechanism just uses a rubber band. So you can see whenever like this pushes back, and that's what causes the tension. You can see the rubber bands are pulling back on there. If I take this off, okay. So this is just the back cover, which just hides the mechanism inside. Now you can see on the back, this is how it works. He's got some little hooks right here, and rubber bands are just attached to them. So those just kind of glide along here. Really simple to put together. I'll go through how to put that later in the assembly, but nothing's glued right now. All you do is you just push it in, and it stays, it holds, because the rubber bands make it nice and secure. So pretty much anyone can make this thing. If you want, you could glue it, but I think it's a really cool feature to be able to take it off and use it as a selfie. So that is, those are the main features, and I think it's really cool. It's pretty much anyone can make it. You just need some rubber bands, you know, some screws, washers, and nuts, and a 3D printer, and some sandpaper. Now, let's get into how to make this. Alright, so now I'm going to take you through on how to actually assemble this thing. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is sand down all the areas that need something to slide through it, like this back cover. You're going to want to sand all these little areas here, all these contact areas, to make it and ensure that it slides through pretty nicely. You don't want to sand it too much to where it slides, you know, too freely. Then, you know, it'll just fall out when it's on the bike. But you want it to have enough, you know, grip to where you can, where it stays in pretty well. And you're gonna want to sand these too, because these go and slide in this area. And that's about the only sanding you're gonna need to do. And I made two versions actually, and in the second version the tolerance for this should be a little bit better, so you probably won't have to do nearly as much sanding as I did for this one. So after you have sanded this, all you're gonna do is slide them in. So take the right piece, slide it in there, and you take this piece, slide it in there, just like that. Now, you're going to want to take your rubber bands, preferably a small one, because you want as much tension as possible. If you don't have any small ones, you could take a long one and probably like double it up, you know, something like we twist it and do something like this. But I have small ones, so I'm going to use these ones. Now you want as much tension as possible, so I like using 2. Just like that. And these hooks are what grab onto the rubber bands. And once you have that, that's the main mechanism. Okay? And that's what holds together this guy. And it does a pretty good job. Now once that's done, all you gotta do is slide this in the back. Just like that. Now it's all nicely covered up. And now what you're gonna wanna do is glue this part. So I would use epoxy. You could use maybe super glue, but you are going to be riding your bike on it, which is going to be, you know, pretty bumpy. So I want the tightest, strongest seal as possible. So I'm going to use epoxy. This is a 2-part epoxy. I'm just going to mix it up so it's nice and even, and then I'm going to glue it. So let's put some there, and then also probably want to drips. And just wipe it down later. That'll probably be fine. I'm just gonna wipe down this. Try not the cleanest job, but and that's your main support structure. From here, that's the main mechanism, or that's the main body where it holds the phone. And one thing I think I noted before that I think is pretty cool about this is when you're writing, if you would like, you can actually remove this from this clamp if you want to do a little selfie or something like that. And then when you're done, you can just, you know, put it back. If you don't want that feature, you can just glue it onto here for a permanent seal. But I think this makes a cool little feature. Now another thing to note is you're probably going to want to put rubber on these things. The reason for this is because rubber gives it friction and grip. And you're going to want that because when it's attached to the bike, you're on metal. So if you don't have them, it could slip around and, you know, it could fall and, you know, break or something. And you don't want that. But if you don't have rubber, you could try just tightening it as hard as possible. But the nice thing when you have a grippy material on this is that you actually don't have to screw it down as hard. So let me show you how to attach this. So what you do is you just take your screw, which this is the exact one that I used. So if you want to go out and grab those, you can, and then just get some washers to go with it. So what you do first is you take the screws and then put them in here. And make sure you have a screwdriver and a wrench or something to just, you know, hold down the nut. Now you're going to take this and you can just kind of, you know, rest it on here for now. And then you're going to take your other things, put that there, and then you're gonna just kind of slide it through like that, and then you're gonna take your washer and your nut. It's a little bit tricky to do this. See if I can put that there, and then Here's the first one. Make sure it's centered. Put the other one. Just like that. And make sure it's centered. And then just tighten them down. And look, it's already pretty tight, but I would go in and tighten it even more. Screw driver and your wrench. So, and tighten that. Pretty good. Get this side. And there you go. As you can see, it's very, very tight. It's not gonna move. So once that's done, you just insert into there and you're good to go. And then once you have that, you just put your phone in like that. You can see it's not gonna fall off. And when you're done, just take it off. And that's how you put it together.